And we back at it. Great day, great world. Hopefully everybody's super great and getting better. Welcome back to the Corey Webster Experience. I am your host, Corey Webster. I am C Webb. And today we're going to dive into more sports. And some of the things that we're going to talk about today is more off the field things when it comes to sports and entertainment, the relationship aspect of it. So again, thanks for locking in. Subscribe. Hit the notification bell, and don't forget to comment. Let me know that you are engaging with us by commenting in the comment section. Let us know your opinion. Let us know your thoughts. Remember, this is a safe place. Nobody's judging over here. So, this is only my opinion and my perspective from my experience. So dive in. With that being said, it's a lot of things that's been going viral right now over the recent week. We had Steve Smith Sr. and his alleged affairs. He's a married man and alleged somebody exposed him on social media being with their wife. Also, just from the whole relationship and dating scene, a lot has been transpiring over the last couple of years. Guys going viral for moments of, adult activity, mistakenly going live. We had some, crazy times early on, I don't want to lie to you, with Deshaun Watson and the massage therapist we had, and not just one, multiple. All this alleged, I don't know what the court cases are saying, but this is the stuff that hits the media, hit the timeline that we're talking about. Also, another, a kicker for the Baltimore Ravens had something similar to what Deshaun Watson went through. His was, I think, 16 or so massage therapists. We also had, other guys, receivers, Diggs, the relationship tree that he has, as well as him supposed to be engaging with alleged famous rapper, female, Carly B, who is, if we're not mistaken, still married and engaged. So I just talk about relationship when it comes to, entertainment and, sports figures, and just in general. My thoughts on relationship. I'm from Louisiana, so I guess I'm more of a traditional, relationship guy. What I mean by that is some of the values of pre-social media, pre-internet. Ultimately, I was born, I know they had internet, but I was born without social media. So I know what it is to be without it. And I think the kids that's navigating through this time, they have a bit of a perspective that comes from social media, seeing power couples, seeing couples, only put their highlights on social media. And that's what I think. Most people, it's their highlights that's being put on social media. So if you don't know those individuals on a personal level or know them to a certain extent, you can get caught up in, I'm talking about unconsciously, just comparing yourself and comparing your relationship and comparing your significant other, be it your husband, be it your wife, to these individuals and to things that they have, things that they are doing. So I want you to be mindful of that. When it comes to dating and it comes to, social media, that power couple, you don't know the agreement. You don't know what's being done behind doors. So you comparing your reality to their highlight reel is, I would say it would be detrimental to your relationship. So be cognizant of that. But let's just jump into it. Some things that, I think from a relationship standpoint, just because I've been in a relationship for a long time, I've been, I'm human, but we all are sinful individuals. So let's jump into some questions when it comes to relationship, just in general.
What does it mean to make a decision to love someone?
Well, for the most part, when I hear that, I think individuals think that, I want to be with this person because this attribute, that attribute. I want to be with a person that makes a certain amount of money, that's, financially secure, that can protect me. So when I hear, about love, it normally comes from those things. But to me, love is a decision, and you make it over and over again, right? You don't just commit to loving someone because of how they look. A lot of people fall in love with a look of an individual, right? So then when that look change, or when the look is not what it once was, whereas the love goes from there. You know what I mean? And I do think that individuals can fall in love with a certain attribute of an individual, and then it grow and manifest into real love, or just continue growing, whether it's I like her because, or I like him because of his look, but then I realized that look was a product of his hard work, his dedication. So I want individuals to understand that love is a decision, and it has to be made over and over again, right? I have to not only love that person when everything is going what I perceive to be the right way, I have to also understand that I have to make that decision to love that person when things may not be going the way that I expect them to go. And I think that's a mature way of looking at it. And I just think a lot of individuals don't even see it that way when it comes to love, because they fall in love with, a certain attribute of an individual. So I want them to know that love is a decision that you have to make constantly, and it, should be made often.
Gotcha. How does the concept of love as a choice align with biblical teachings?
Well, I think that should be first and foremost, you know what I mean? And even though we may come from different religions and different biblical backgrounds, I think if we have an anchor in the Bible, an anchor in, God's word, the Most High, and living according to his hope, I think if we are living to be pleasing to him, then whoever our significant other is, they're going to be pleased because of it. And if they're not pleased because of it, then maybe that's not a person that I need to be with. Because if I'm living in according to God's will, then everything else falls underneath that. And it took me some time to understand that. And again, this is a mature way of looking at it, right? If I'm dating someone, I'm not trying to please them. And I know that may come off and that may sound like, whoa, man, yeah, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to serve, right? True indeed. But I have to serve first and foremost where I get my energy source from, and that's God, you know what I mean? So I'm doing everything in his likeness. And if I'm doing that, my significant other or my partner should be truly pleased with it. And if it's not, then I need to, reevaluate who I'm dating. And I think that's where some of those foundation things go astray at, right? Because we don't talk about those things early on. Those things kind of happen coincidentally.
Yes. What are the biggest challenges modern relationships face compared to traditional ones?
I would definitely think just the landscape, you know what I mean? A woman being financially stable, a man being financially stable, right? Having that powerful couple mentality. I'll be honest with you. I saw powerful couples when my parents grew up, you know what I mean? I saw a husband being a blue collar worker, working in the industrial industry. And I saw women being teachers, being not only teachers, also being the backbone of a household. So even though a lot of those men may have worked, blue collar jobs, some of the women, most of the women wasn't just keeping up the house. They was keeping up the house, and it was teachers, and it was educators, right? And it did a lot of things in the community. So who's to say whose job was harder than the other, right? And I saw a lot of couples in my neighborhood, in my village, that did that. So I think the modern day is always a fight over, somebody being the boss, right? What is the woman versus the man, right? A woman should submit to her husband. Yes, and true indeed, right? And in certain things, that's, submitting to your husband, letting him lead, right? But that doesn't mean I submit to him only because he makes the most money. That doesn't mean I submit to him because he's not, or he's only financially secure, he can protect me, so I submit to him. And if he's not holding none of those other things up, then I don't submit to him. If he can't take care of me financially, then the woman becomes the boss of their relationship or the leader of their relationship. And I'm not saying that a woman couldn't lead the relationship. I've saw that as well where it works, right? We both have masculine and feminine energy, right? And the opposite of those attract. So if a man has more masculine traits, well, then normally they want a woman that balance that off, and vice versa. Some men have some feminine trait. And that doesn't make their sexual preference change or anything like that. But that means that the woman that they may be dating may be a little more masculine. That doesn't make her sexual preference change. And then talking about sexual preference, that's a whole another conversation. But I think this day and age, the modern day relationship struggle with who wants to lead, who's going to submit, And I don't think that should even be a discussion. I think, every situation is going to be unique for that situation because all individuals normally learn from their lenses. And that, to me, when you come in there with a mindset that's stubborn or just firm in your ways and not being open to, receive what the other has experienced or has to give, then that's kind of where we get stuck at when it comes to these modern day relationships. Because I hear a lot of people talk about, man, a woman's supposed to do this, that, and the third. It's no clear cut way to talk about what individuals should be doing because you're not in those households and you don't know what those individuals has experienced and what's been normalized to them coming from, the households and, the environment that they came from. So all that you have to take into consideration when it talks about dating and, learning about another individual.
How important is communication in maintaining a committed relationship?
If you can't communicate, there is no relationship. A relationship is all about communication. So communication is, other than God being the anchor of it, right? Communication and thoughtful communication has to be the foundation of your relationship. And that's with anybody. That doesn't have nothing to do with just the opposite sex. Or the opposite sex, man, female. Two guys, if they're trying to build a rapport or try to build a relationship with each other, has to understand how to communicate with each other, right? Like-minded individuals and people that are challenging each other to be a better version of themselves. That's the type of people you want to be around. But you have to have a level of communicational skills to be able to do that, right? Because, how do you tell your homeboy that he may need to improve at something and do it with love and empathy? How do you tell your homegirl, like, hey, so-and-so, you may need to do X, Y, and Z. This is going to, not because of me, but because this is going to help your life be better, And do that with love and empathy, right? Not talking down at them, not talking in a way where they feel like a child, so to speak, right? So communication, and I think I want to say thoughtful communication helps with that, And then once you get to know somebody, you understand how they operate. So then you know what, because you're being aware of the situation and aware of your relationship and how that person interacts with you, then you know how to turn certain buttons to get them to understand, especially when you're doing it from a standpoint that's also rooted in what God talk about. Be slow to anger, slow to speak, And a person that's slow to anger, slow to speak, that's a person that will, not cause a lot of wrath in the lives of others and themselves. So communication has to be something that you work on each and every day. With your partner as well with your kids, but just in general, you have to be open to understand that, hey, it may be better ways to communicate, and I should be seeking those ways out.
Nice.
I know.
That's awesome.
I know. And look, I'm not being able to speak on these things because I didn't work on it. Like, this is work, just like we work on and off the field. So that's why when I see a lot of these athletes get in the situation that they're getting in, I'm like, man, you have the skills to be able to get over this, because I saw you be disciplined in certain fields, even if I'm not with you each and every day, I know it took some type of commitment, dedication, and discipline to do the things that you're doing, right, to get thus far. But you have to understand that, can I take some of these attributes that I've learned from my sports and then put it in my everyday life when it comes to understanding my partner, understanding my kids, right? I've been a team player, especially football, because football is the ultimate team sport, you know what I'm saying? So now there's some attributes that you don't want to take from your sport, you know what I mean? Especially I would say one of them being the part of tough love. But a lot of those other ones, those big words, being responsible, being accountable, you know what I mean? Relying on each other. That's why you hear a lot of sports organizations talking about how this organization is more like a family. Well, look, you could take some of them attributes and use it in your family life. And, it'll help you get over a lot of these pitfalls and stuff like that we're seeing out here where, divorcing and people separating and things of that nature. So, or sexual assault, so all the things that we hear that's going on in the media right now.
What role does social media play in shaping modern relationships?
I think a lot. I think it's a huge role that social media is playing, because I think whether it's consciously or unconsciously, I think in some people's subconscious, these relationships that they see by swiping and what they hear that's being kind of narrated through social media, I think unconsciously they are seeking these relationships out. And I just think that they don't know these individuals. You know what I mean? I look at social media as somebody else's highlight reel. You know, it's very hard for me to believe that they're putting everything out there. I think that a lot of individuals put only what they want to be put out. Now, some of that is not positive either, you know what I mean? But I just don't think that you know those individuals. And if you don't know those individuals, I don't think you should base your relationship off of what they have going on. Now, I've saw it all, you know what I mean? So-and-so got a relationship going on, and they become the goals of what relationships should look like. And I even break it down this way. It happens more in some cultures than others. I'll be honest with you, you know what I mean? In the African-American culture, you see a lot of people that put entertainers or sports figures as the goals of the relationship. And I don't think that should be, now, hey, it's okay to inspire, and it's okay to, I guess, be a person that enjoys those individuals doing well in their relationship. Like, I'm proud of, you know, what LeBron James and Miss Savannah James and their family is doing, but I don't aim to be like them, you know what I mean? But I appreciate what they're doing as far as being a family that look like myself, and you know how they go about, but I don't know them on a day-to-day, everyday basis. You understand that? Even having met them a time or two, you know what I mean? And I never met Miss Savannah, but meeting LeBron, I don't know him on a personal level. So it's a lot of people that I see. I'll just be honest, you know, what we saw growing up with the Cosbys, right? I think that was a great example of what it was for a man to be. Now, the stuff that happens later in life and the stuff that happens off the camera, I don't know nothing about that, you know what I mean? And those, you know, he went to jail for it, so I don't know whether you say alleged or anything like that, but the image that he put on TV was a great image to see, right? Even a lot of other shows. It wasn't just that. Carl Winslow, I think that was a man that was working in public service that, you know, was a man and stood up for, you know, morals, values, and principle, and stood up for his family and doing things the right way, right? Those are some great people to look up to. Mr. Drummond, you know, Good Times, you know what I mean? Full House, you know what I mean? It was, you know, mixed uncle this, you know what I mean? Aunties, you know what I mean? But they still was a family, a unit, and everybody operated as one. They had ups and downs, but it was a positive perspective on what it was to be a family. I don't see that as much on social media. I think it's more, you know, negativity, more for clickbaits, more for how many views I can get. You know, my guy always say is go viral or die trying, you know what I mean? And I think that hurts a couple, or hurt a young person that's impressionable when it comes to talking about dating, or, you know, just touching their life in any kind of way, subconsciously, because they're just swiping through the internet or social media.
Nice. Thank you for that information as well, because just to bring up those shows, what we saw back in the day growing up, it was very powerful and influential.
How many shows they have today? I think of maybe, come on, give me a couple of shows. The Upshaws, you know, Mike Epps putting on.
Yes.
Blue Blood, but it's kind of older show, you know what I mean? It has family sitting around, but the kids are normally just at the table, right? You know, it's very, very, very few. It's very few. Yeah. It's just very few. So you don't get a lot of imagery and, you know, of that type of thing. So with all that being said, just be mindful of who you're looking up to when it comes to relationships, right? And I would say this, man, for me, I'm more in, I think bridging the gap is the important thing between traditional and modern relationships. I think taking traditional value and don't just being stuck in the the constraints of I just want all this box of being traditional, but also having the ability to be able to embrace some of the positive things from modern relationships, I think, and then committing and being responsible in that. I think that's what we need to do a little bit. Bridge the gap in between traditional, because a lot of things that, we sit down with a couple of the older people that came before us, and I call them wisdom. I don't like to call them the older people, but it's a lot that we can learn from them. And we need to understand how to redefine these roles, for each other moving forward, right? It's nothing set in stone. Let's redefine them, and just remember that love is a decision, and in being in a relationship, make sure that you have the foundation built on biblical principles. And I think that would take you a long way in your relationship. So look, you know what I want you to do? Comment, let me know your opinion. Traditional relationships versus modern day relationships, bridging the gap in between both of them. Where do you see it stand at? Who are some of your, mentors, or some people that you look at for positive reinforcement when it comes to your relationship? Comment, chime in. Remember, it's just my opinion. There's no right or wrong. And be mindful of who you're looking up to when it comes to your relationship, because subconsciously it could be pushing you in the wrong direction. You already know. Stay tuned. We're going to keep this thing coming. We're going to be consistent in what we are doing. Let me know your thoughts in the comment below. Like, subscribe, and we out.